the executive director of SPME. He's an expert on the Middle East. Dr. Asaf Romirowsky is joining me now. Hi, how are you?
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm glad to have you back because holy crap, there is a lot going on in Iran.
There is.
We're supposed to have a ceasefire, but they keep shooting at us.
Well, this is as you and I have discussed for quite some time now. The Iranian pattern is very set, and they have used all of this, even under the so-called ceasefire, as an opportunity to buy time. And we know that they have been using that time to regroup, rearm. Armaments have been coming in as far as military technology from the Russians. Surveillance technology has been coming in from the Chinese, and they're buying time. And one of their biggest assets, which is also critical to understand, and you and I have also, have dove into this for quite some time, is of course that the American landscape. I mean, Western media, anytime there is an attack on the current administration, the midterm elections, all of that plays into the Iranian propaganda, and they get to play the victimology card. And so from their model of success, as we have known and learned to see for decades now, they would like us to go back to the Obama JCPOA deal where they get paid billions of dollars, and we think we're giving them carrots, and they're going to go away and continue doing their nefarious activity. And so that's what they aspire to. So finally now there has been some significant red lines. My concern is that, and this was, I think the message that came out of the White House changed, from an immediate deal to, no rush. Let's, see what happens. I am quite skeptical about whether or not there'll be any kind of deliverables. They're trying to buy time, and they're using and abusing all of this. And I think that's we need to be prepared for military action, because I don't think they're going to see any kind of deliverables on anything they promised, not to mention the high enriched uranium, not to mention the ICBMs, not to mention the fact that they'll stop funding their proxies.
Well, and they've literally just said it. I don't know how they have heads of state or heads of anything, because the Iranian people don't recognize them. They just are scared of them and are being murdered by them. But they even said this morning that we will not honor whatever red lines you put out. We're going to do whatever we want to do, no matter what you say. So the negotiations are not going to work with these guys. It's that simple. It's just not going to work. And I can tell that Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, they're all really just kind of done with these guys.
I don't disagree. I mean, I think that we've given them enough opportunities. I think that the economic element as it relates to the Straits of Hormuz is clearly a gain for them. They know that's a sticking point. But I think that the fact of the matter is that we need to open it up forcefully, militarily, and there needs to be forces in the region and know that we mean business. The Iranians, even after the attack today on Kuwait, and the comments that were delivered by the Supreme Leader Mustafa were as anti-American and anti-Western and as anti-Semitic as always. I mean, the rhetoric stays the same. And the big concern, which, I think is, and it should not be forgotten, so long as the current leadership is still intact of the IRGC and of the and of the clerics, the objectives remain the same. I mean, they have used and abused their own people. They could care less about them, and from their perspective, they got enough blood to spare, and they don't care what the consequences are as long as the ideology remains the same. Let's not forget also that each one of these clerics has billions and billions of dollars, and they so long as
Yeah. So, here's the thing. Somebody just commented, you realize the money we sent back to them was their money. It was frozen after the Iranian hostage, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, they never should have got it back. Because the minute they got that money back, they went into warp speed in their nuclear program. Obama did a bad thing. I don't care if that was their money. It was frozen for a reason. And it was part of the nuclear agreement that he made, even though the sound of calling to morning prayer was one of the most beautiful sounds he's ever heard. We know which side he was on. So it's clear to those of us who are true to America and freedom in general that the Iranian people want these guys gone. They want to live. They want to be okay. We want gas prices to come. The whole world wants gas prices to come down. Strait of Hormuz does not belong to Iran. So the fact that it's even a bargaining chip is ludicrous. We should do whatever it takes to open that strait. Iran be damned.
No disagreement. I mean, the fact of the matter is that they need to continue drilling. The fact of the matter is Iran is losing about $435 million a day. That money, is also money that the IRGC siphons off to pay their own fighters. I mean, they have used and abused it to their own discretion. And not to mention the fact that the people countries who are really licking their chops are the Chinese and the Russians who need access to the Straits of Hormuz. And, of course, they're also no allies of the United States as well. And so, there is an entire connectivity that relates, of course, to how the Straits have been abused. But maritime and open exchanges when it comes to, deliverables and import-export should be open and free. We're not going to play the game with the Iranians or be get into a point of where they are trying to take tolls and they're going to try to hijack the world, which is what they've done for decades now, and using and abusing this in this kind of fashion. This needs to change, and the military option should remain on the table. And the bigger concern, of course, is that, while Iran has been significantly decapitated, they've still been able to abscond and to hide some materials, and we're concerned about that as well. So there are indeed enough legitimate targets that can be, basically zoomed in on. And again, I think that the Iranian people, to your point, deserve to have freedom. They deserve to have the freedom to be, to act, to be the kind of, and to be unshackled from this totalitarian, authoritarian regime, which they've been suffering under for over 4 decades.
Somebody just said, if we start dropping bombs and bridges and infrastructure, the people of Iran will suffer. I'm like, well, it's not any different than what they're suffering from now. They're killed for dancing. They're killed for being gay. They're killed for not wearing proper outfits. They're killed for playing hopscotch. So, you're talking about apples and oranges here. The people are under a murderous regime 24/7. So if we go in and rubble up a few things, there will be casualties. And even the Iranians know that. They still want us to come. They do. And they have said that. It's only in America where they say, oh, so Trump just wants to kill little girls playing hopscotch. He wants to kill the kid playing baseball at the field. They're not in America. They're not doing those things. They're not allowed to be happy. They're not allowed to do a lot of things that we get to do. So they want to be free. They got a taste of it in the 70s, Asaf. They got a taste of it, and they want that back.
Not to mention the fact that the entire Iranian diaspora, the significant amount that lives here in the United States, in L.A. and New York, has been speaking about that. The abuses, that have been going on, how the Iranians have been targeting, dissidents outside of Iran. I mean, this is not, the Iranian long arm and the tentacles continue to, they continue to target people, and they mean business, and we have to make sure. I mean, you didn't see anybody, which is again the hypocrite, the kind of hypocrisy that plays into all of this about the fact that how many college kids were protesting, the killings in Iran. I mean, nobody, they didn't care about the human rights abuses actually happening in Iran, women's rights abuses. I mean, this is exactly the point. The world needs to wake up to what Iran has been doing, and and the fact of the matter is that every historical act of terrorism goes back directly to Iran and Iranian proxies.
Yeah. And, that's why I have guys like you on, Asaf, because they think when I'm saying it, I'm a propagandist for the Trump administration, which I'm not. I'm just a hardcore conservative when it comes to fiscal responsibility and freedom. I don't really care how people live their lives one way or the other. It affects me zero. But when it comes to things like this, I get very, very angry because they say, we won't listen to you because you're white and blah, blah, blah. And so I bring on Asaf So he can tell you, because he's an expert on the Middle East and he is the executive director of SPME, and he can tell you exactly what Iran is doing and what they're like and what they're doing and what they're planning. They're not going to give up, are they? They're not. We're going to have to go in.
No. I mean, the Iranian ideology, the commitment, the religiosity to, the religious dimension here, which is rarely mentioned at all as far as their commitment to the region at large, and to them being a hegemonic force in the region, has been part of exactly their goals. Iran and the Arab world and the Gulf states understand the threats. Iran has always been the greatest destabilizing force in the region, not only politically and militarily, but also theologically. This goes into the heart of the Sunni-Shiite divide. I mean, back in 2016, basically the Iranians burned down the Saudi embassy. And so Riyadh should know exactly what Iran means. And the fact of the matter is that Iran represents a direct threat to Mecca. And so if you're talking about stability in the Middle East, you're talking about, you need to understand the religious dimension and how this apocalyptical narrative, in this kind of way that Iran sees itself as far as dominance, is critical to understand. And that's how they've been controlling the area, and that's how they do business.
Right. And they don't really care about freedom. They don't really care about those sorts of things. The bottom line is this is about religion for them. They believe that what they are doing is somehow getting them some sort of a reward. They like money, and they don't believe women should be able to say pretty much anything that they want to say. They are in the Stone Age, and they want to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, but and again, one should also glean from the fact that there are clerics who are running Iran, where the source of power and where the divine intervention comes from to justify their political actions. Mm-hmm. And when they talk about America and Israel as a small and large Satan, and this is a satanic connection, and the fact that actions need to be taken to rid them of their intervention in the Middle East, they mean business, and we should take them at their face value and not try to interpret what they think they're going to say, what they're not going to do, but because they have been doing it, and there are violent, terroristic, military connotations to all of this.
Right, and some are even here in America just waiting for the word. So we've got to be preparing ourselves for that as well. I have less than a minute left, but is it go time, Asaf?
I think it is. I mean, I think that the administration is going to try to give it another, try to play the game. I'm also, the one point we didn't mention is, of course, they're trying to link, joining the Abraham Accords with Iran. I don't see that, really moving along, and I think that we cannot forget, as well, that the war with Gaza is still not over yet either. Mm-hmm. And so while the focus is Iran, there are still other things playing out, not to mention Hezbollah. Yeah. The Israelis has been fighting Hezbollah in the north throughout this entire ceasefire, so-called. And so that still continues, and that's major drone warfare that's happening where soldiers are getting killed, Israeli soldiers, daily.
I get email messages from Jonathan Feldstein in Israel every day saying, don't forget us. We're over here getting bombed every 5 seconds. The sirens are going off from Hezbollah. The buffer zone has gotten smaller, and there are still militants coming up out of Gaza who are trying to kill the IDF. And it's got to stop. The whole world could be at peace if we could stop the terrorists. And everybody just inform yourselves of what's really going on over there, and that's what Asaf and I are trying to do. He's Dr. Asaf Romirowsky, Executive Director, SPME. Where do they go to learn more about what you write and do?
Our website is on SPME.org, and you can find all our stuff there, so feel free to go ahead and check it out.
I appreciate you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.